Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lessons from Leaders podcast. Today, I have my guest on, Angelo Fresquet, and I'm super excited for this one. Angelo made his first $1 million in his first business at 19, and he's been hitting the ground running ever since. So he's in numerous industries as a partner, launching new brands in hospitality, in film, in real life, restaurants, across the board. And now he's focusing his attention and energy on the things that bring him life. So,
Absolutely.
Angelo, really excited to have you.
Great, Jake. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. Excited
Yeah,
to be on here with you.
awesome, man. Awesome. And man, one of the first things I wanted to walk through, as people come up, I feel like the childhood and different activities that they were involved in early in their career really kind of set the tone for everything moving forward. So for you being a native to Miami, how did all that, like your early childhood, set you up for what you're doing now?
In many ways, I remember one time my parents were showing me a video of us in New York on a family vacation, and I couldn't find myself in the video. So I said to my dad, I said, well, where am I? He says, you're the one holding the camera. And that's when I knew I had a little bit of not only a leadership, but a different kind of mind, a creative mind, and also the ability to tell stories or put stories together or be able to capture moments, right? And all those things transferred into my adulthood and my different stages of life. I was a young actor, young model in the 90s. Later on, I got into nightlife and hospitality. And so through each one of those stages as I went on my journey, I noticed that some of those traits as a young boy from that one particular incident, but there were many like that, they kind of carried over and they built me into it. The other part was my parents being very supportive of me doing, whatever I was passionate about. That is a plus. I know not everybody gets that, but it was a plus. But sometimes people have mentors, like I did as well, that were throughout my journey, or people that I admire, or teachers, or people that I came across that I thought I want to do what they're doing. Were just as good, if not the same, uh, as a boost to accomplish those different goals at a young age.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. And I feel like the parent piece is so big. Like when you have parents that really kind of push you to what gives you energy. And that's how my parents were as well.
Yep.
Where it's kind of freeing and it's just,
And you feel
you
like
feel
you
like
got
the
the
world's
backing
yours.
that you need, right? Like that's your team. They're with you. You can go all in, and you see that a lot in a lot of people's success when you look at the backstory of it. And then the other ones that don't, you see that they find that figure or that parental or that that leadership or that mentorship from somewhere along the way, which kind of confirms that it is a necessary component to have success. It just helps you. There are some unique, one in a million cases where you find someone that had nothing and did something, and that's just amazing. That puts me in awe of them because they had no support. But yeah, I was lucky, and like you mentioned, you were too, to have that support where my father said, do what you were born to do what you love, knowing that he had done the same as well, and he had that same ambition where he followed his dream. So paying it forward, and I'm sure we'll do with ours. So it's a powerful thing. And with anyone, I find young guys all the time. I'm still kind of young for my age, but there's a lot of young guys that are really attracted to what I do because of the industry I'm in, whether it's hospitality, entertainment, capital finance, film. They admire that. They watch me, they follow me, they've been with, they worked with me, or they worked for me, and they're very passionate about that. But they like that they can learn, and I'll take the time to teach them. And I think that's the best thing you can do when you do that. You're creating an enormous amount of goodness into the ether, right? Into the energy, into the manifestation of good things on earth, and for all, and for that industry, and for yourself, and for them. So it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And before we started recording, we were talking about the importance of relationships, like not only as an entrepreneur, but just in life with your family, with all the people around you. So, how has that kind of been a guide for you through your career, like investing in these long term
Right.
relationships and building your community?
Yeah. So one of the examples I give people all the time is when I was in high school, there was a young kid that was getting bullied all the time. And I could have easily, I was the popular guy. I could have easily done the popular thing and acted like, oh, that's funny or that's cool or let it go or let it slide. But because of my, my upbringing, I had a different kind of, and my faith too as well. I was brought up in a faith, centered family. So my thing was, no, I'm going to go defend this guy. Well, that kid later on, I kept a relationship with him. He turns out to be today the senator in Florida, right? So the relationships you build are based on your decision making, right? And not only at a young age did I have that the ability to see that, not knowing what he was going to become, but likewise, I could tell you another 30 stories. One's the chief of police, one's the owner of this company, one's the owner of that company, one became this superstar, one became this super athlete. And so you're cultivating of relationships is the most important. You don't have to necessarily like everybody. You need to necessarily have to need something from everybody. But if you're a diplomat, it's the word I use the most, and you really cultivate relationships and you realize that every relationship has the power to open a door or close a door, build a bridge or burn a bridge, and you start learning that concept at a young age, and you learn it at whatever age you're at now or wherever you're at now, it's the most beneficial, most open uh, opportunity for you to grow the fastest and accomplish the most. And you got to remember, it doesn't matter their age or who they are. Everybody has something to teach us. Everybody has something that they've accomplished. Everybody has something that's fascinating about them. And everybody knows somebody, right? So there used to be a thing back in the days, they would call it the 360 of the actor's name in Footloose. I forget his name right now, but he was like they had a game and it's called the 360 of him because he knew everybody because he worked with everybody. And so if you knew him, you would get in contact with everybody. So it was interesting how that concept really plays into reality and into everybody's lives. If you just take the moment to just get to know everybody, I get a bunch of people approaching me now after I've had a certain amount of success. So it's a different relational aspect, right? So I'm looking down, right? Or they're looking up, right? In a sort of way to explain it. And if I don't take the moment to understand them, they could be the next big golfer, the next big president, the next big owner of this company, So having that humbleness and learning and knowing that relations are important is what will get you the most amount of success in life because it's all about who you know. It's all about who you can deal with or connect with to open doors for you in many different ways. And I deal with relational, that one principle is daily in my life for success. It's always, hey, I know somebody. I'll contact so and so. Just today alone, I had 5 calls with folks I've known for 10, 15, 20, 30 years that opened the door for me to do something I needed to do in my life or business or others. So it's very important.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And I think back, I had a mentor one time tell me, every building you walk into, treat every single person with the same respect, from janitor, front desk, CEO, anybody and everybody.
Yep.
Like, talk to everybody. Say hey, say what's up. And it just sounds like you've had all that compounding effect through your life and through your career.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to learn that young. And I think I was always observing my dad and how he dealt with people, and he was always connecting. He would use humor a lot in his conversations, very witty humor. He was actually a political cartoonist for the Miami Herald, and he was the only cartoonist syndicated around the world. He could barely speak English, but he spoke it really funny where Americans understood him, right? So we thought it was funny as a young boy. I would listen to it and I said, Dad, you didn't say that word right. He's like, don't worry about it. He understood me. And so, but his humor was very impactful. And he had a platform because at that time in those, the 70s and 80s, the newspaper was like the biggest thing, right? And it still has its power today, but it was one of the biggest platforms to communicate and to have as a personality, a person, an artist, or a communicator to communicate to the world a particular message, whether it was political, editorial, or whatnot. It was very powerful. So I watched him, how he would say, everybody's important. And you got to relate, to everybody, communicate with everybody, even people that don't like you, even your enemies. But more importantly, respect everybody. You mentioned that you say hi to everybody. That's something. For example, I go to a restaurant, I go to an entertainment location, an event, somebody's house, a business, a hotel, even a nightclub. I'll walk around. I'm known for it. My friends always are fascinated by it. I'll walk around. I'll say hi, and I'll say hi to everybody in the place that's working. and I already have a relationship with them. I already know them. I have their number. We talk. We know each other. And a lot of my friends that are with me are like, they're like, wow, everybody here knows you. You know everybody, and all the workers and all the staff and the security and the bathroom guys and everybody, the door staff. I said, you know how important that is. Number one, not just for your character and your persona and your business style, but also for discipline of knowing how important it is to meet and talk to people. But also think about it. Everything you need when you're there is taken care of. You don't have to wait in line. You don't have to, you need something that's taken care of. Like they're all looking to serve you because of your relationship. Now you're friends, and now you've built 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 17 years, for example, of one particular venue or location that you go often, where you know the entire group. Now, and so now all that is benefiting you, and it's two dimensional. It's benefiting them, but at the same time, it's building character and it's building a discipline where you learn to always learn people. I had a guy recently. He's a DJ, and we were talking. And a lot of folks come to me to learn strategy of how to build their brand. So this DJ comes up to me. I see his talent. I tell him about his talent, and then we go out for a moment. We go out to a few places to have bite and a cocktail or whatnot, and we're talking. And some guy comes up to him and says hi to him. Some guy recognizes him, and the guy just walks by. They say hi. He says, "Oh, you're DJ so and so." "Oh, yeah, hi, hi," and he leaves. I said, "Why don't you go back and talk to that guy?" He mentioned he's up from Broward. You're DG now here in Miami. Start building that guy and his friends and all that crowd from Broward to start following you to all your events. Go back now and talk to him, friend him, hang out with him, chat with him for a little bit, invite him to your next event. He looks at me with this face like, wow, no one's ever told me that. And I said, yeah, man, you got to build your following. I said, why do you think they're going to hire a DJ? Not because he's good, because everybody's good. It's because he's got a following and he creates a brand and people like the brand. And so when he heard that, and I had worked already with many DJs and built their brands, so he knew that. So when he heard that, he was like, wow, you just blew my mind. He says, instead of just hanging out and trying to hit on girls, and I said, no, connect, go around their room and try to connect. So it gave him a whole nother perspective of what to do with his time, wherever he's at, whatever he's doing, to always focus on building his brand constantly. And so it changed him completely to the point where he literally goes places now just for that. And I said, if you do that for about a year and you visit 4 or 5 places a week, right? Or one night, and you connect with 10, 15 people, you got thousands of people at the end of the year on your social media now, following you, learning everything about you. And it just blew his mind. He was like, I never even thought about that. I said, stop chasing women, stop chasing this, stop chasing that. Focus on how you're going to build yourself, how you're going to create your brand from a grassroots level. And it never crossed his mind. So he was just blown away. He was like, wow. And sure enough, he started doing it. It worked out. His first event, which was a couple of weeks later, he had about 30, 40 people show up when he used to have nobody show up. 1 or 2 people. He had 30, 40, I think 50 guys show up for him. And I said, there you go. That's the beginning. So
Yeah.
yeah, relationships
I
are
feel like
powerful.
that's so, yeah. I feel like that's so lost where it's like everybody thinks about the macro, like just content, 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 growing a massive brand. But we forget about like the micro habits where going, shaking everybody's hand, taking a second, talking to everybody. Like it's so true. I feel like everybody needs to be reminded of it.
Constantly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Absolutely.
amazing,
I
man.
share another example I share, which is like on another level. Um, you have this guy, for example, El Chapo. He's in prison. He's got billions, but he doesn't know the president, so he can't get a pardon. But then you have Kodak Black, who doesn't have billions. He knows the president. He gets a pardon. So it shows you the power of relationship is more than money. See, so it's interesting. I use that one a lot with friends intimately, but I'll share it with you because it's just a simple. Like you could, once I say that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you know, it's more of who you know that can get you out of something or get you into something
Yeah.
or open a door or so forth. So yeah, very powerful.
Yeah. And man, for people who are, just starting out, maybe they're a young founder, a first time founder, or just somebody coming up early in their career, if you could look back, back to the days when you were 25, what kind of advice would you give, for somebody who is trying to build those relationships, who is trying to put themselves out there? Like, what would you tell those folks?
Yeah. So, again, goes back to the beginning where I say identify your purpose, maximize your potential, leave a legacy. So identify your purpose, what you're going to do, what your plan is to build a business. We live in a time and an era where right now, at any age, you can make a fortune. you can do. It's just, it's almost overnight. It's so easy on the digital side to create something, technology, whether it's Bitcoin, there's so much ability to monetize things so fast. And all you really need is to have an idea and a concept, right? So, and in some cases, things grow fast, right? So you want to make sure you take a step back and connect. Always connect with those relationships. Get the phone number, get the information. I did an event for an ITT think tank with the guys from Amazon, the guys from Google, and I'm on the platform with these guys, and I'm teaching and speaking only about marketing. I was with Kevin Harrison from Shark Tank. And when it came to my turn, I spoke about marketing. For some reason, when I gave the statistics, I used statistics that particular day on marketing at the end of the event, the line, it must have been about 500 businessmen, the line was on me to meet me and speak to me. And I thought, if I sit here and I really put the time into it, I'm going to waste my time. I said, you know what? every person that shows up, I'm just going to get their name and number, give them my name and number, and we're going to connect after this. So that line, I went through that line really fast because all I did was, here's my info, we're going to connect. Here's my info, we're going to connect. Here's my info, and we would connect. And so likewise, where you're at now, wherever you're at now, start connecting. Start looking at people of the industry, start seeing where they hang out, where they network, where they go, and start connecting with them. If it's through online, if it's through social media, it's through DMs, whatever the case may be, just start dropping information, start connecting, find all the possible ways to connect. I have some guys that work with me sometimes, and I'm like, go find so-and-so. They can't get a hold of them. They tried through Instagram, they tried this, and they tried to the internet. I said, we'll find out where they work, where the office is, and go over there physically and go meet them. So they look at me like, wow, you really put the effort to go and meet somebody. I said, absolutely. Because relationships, it's more than money. It's more than anything, and it opens doors faster than you can imagine. So it's the tip I would give is start building those relationships. Go out there and get them. Go out there and build them. Go out there and make them. Go out there and connect, and do it every day. Constantly connect. And you never know. Sometimes random connections lead to some of the biggest opportunities. So let's say you go to the pool, or you're at a hotel, or you got invited to an event, or you go to a restaurant. Just try to connect with 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Make eye contact. Say, hey, by the way, what do you do for a living? Oh, hi, my name is so and so. This is what I do. Oh, this is what you do. Okay, even if it sounds like something you don't know, they might know somebody that does what you do or is in the same industry. So you can't just close yourself out. You never know what's going to lead to. Let's say, oh, I'm in real estate. And let's say you're in media. Well, what do those two have to do together? Well, you never know. Say, you know what? Maybe one day I might need you to buy a house or something. Or maybe somebody in media, we can connect. You never know. So never close yourself out. That's the other part of that tip is when you're in that hustle, make sure you don't close yourself, limit yourself, or leave yourself out of an opportunity because you think you just don't relate or you don't connect or you're different industries. No, everything connects. Every industry connects. Every relationship connects. There's always another relationship or people they know. So never lose that opportunity to put something down just because you think you don't connect at a particular level. No, there's something in there. And 9 out of 10 times, all the relations I've made, whether they were part of what could benefit me at the moment, in hindsight, they benefited me at some point down the line. So you'll see how it all works out. It all plays into it. So it all has dividends.
Yeah. I feel like one of the biggest lessons is just patience where,
absolutely,
yeah.
There's a thing on the letter P where it's patience, perseverance, passion. There's a whole different amount of words you can use there that are very actionable, that are very inspiring. And one of them is, yes, patience, perseverance, and passion. So you need those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you'll get a kick out of this. Have you heard of the company Daymaker?
Okay.
You heard of them? Yeah. Like they send the cakes to the office and everything. Yeah. So we just sent 20 cakes to all these offices in Miami, and we're going to go out and try to meet everybody. It's like, I don't know if it'll lead to anything, but we'll go out there and we'll meet everybody. And we'll go put a face to the cake and go say, hey, where it's,
well,
just
I'll
putting opportunities out there.
I'll give you a story with what you just said. There's a friend of mine, George Moreno. He's on a lot of the podcasts right now. He's the owner of Boho Edgewater and a few other venues. And he was a Grammy-winning artist, Latin Grammy-winning artist. And he was on a podcast recently. And he said he created this. He had just made his album. So he created this pizza box. He got this pizza uniform. And he went to everybody in LA, Capitol Records. He went to all the record labels. And he said, I got a pizza for the top guy. And he put the name of the guy. And he wasn't really delivering pizza, but just that one gimmick or trick or style or strategy opened the door for him to speak to that executive of the record label, which otherwise he would have never had. And obviously, when they opened, they saw there was no pizza. It was just, his music. And they were like, whoa. But they thought, this was so creative and so cool. I want to talk to this guy. And so it opened up some doors for him. And so sometimes those things we think that are not going to help us in our business ventures, it really does. They're very creative strategies that open up doors. So you never know.
Yeah. And for you, as you were coming up, what do you feel like was the most creative thing that you did to get somebody's attention, try and get a meeting or
I had
whatever
quite
it
a
is?
few. I remember, so I'll share one I don't know the audience here, but I'll share one where in the music realm and nightlife, we came up with a promotion. Instead of giving somebody an invite or a flyer, in those days, you would do it physically, right? Nowadays, it's all done electronically, or digital, or emails, or social media. But we created a cassette with the music that our DJ played. And we thought, what does everybody love? To have music or a cassette that could play their music. So we had our two DJs make this cassette, and then we created a promo on the cassette case of the events that we do and so forth, and then the brand and the name and the logo, and then inside the actual cassette. So we made cassettes, which was costly for us at the time, and we literally had these girls, beautiful looking girls, friends of ours that were all models, wear these outfits with our logo and go around Miami to all the different festivals, events, and locations, giving out these cassettes. It was so big and people loved it because now they had the music that they couldn't really get themselves or put into a cassette or at the time it was like a difficult thing to do. It wasn't like something that anybody could do. You would have to go to all these different record stores and so forth or buy the machinery for it or whatnot. So here we are running around with these hot girls doing this. Everybody wanted to know who were these guys. So the day we did our opening night, we had over 600 guests right off the bat just because of the cassette. So that's one strategy there. And, we talk about things when you transfer skills later on in my marketing and branding career, those were things that I learned at a young age that later, transferred over to large corporations, whether it was Nike, AT&T, Starbucks, McDonald's or whatnot, BMW, whatever the client was. Here I am using the same similar strategies from before now, years later, 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, and seeing it be like successful. So it's interesting you mentioned that, you asked that because you never know where it's going to go, So that same strategy you just implemented, you never know where it's going to go. And it's creative. So I'd be excited to receive a cake. I'd be like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Who are these guys, So
Yeah.
good
All
for
right.
you,
We're going to get
kudos.
you a cake. We're going to get you one after this. I love it,
Yeah.
man. I
Coconut,
love
coconut, coconut.
it. Coconut. Noted. Noted.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And man, for you, these days as you're operating as a partner in numerous different ventures, you have the family office, you have all these things going. What does your typical day look like now? Because you have all these things. I know you say they all connect,
Uh,
but how does that look like for you?
So I'm a little bit fortunate and lucky these days where I'm like right now I'm about to when I'm done with you, I'm going to jump in the pool and then probably head over to the golf course. But I do a lot of calls just like this where I do Zoom meets, or Teams. And I'm usually quiet on the call. I just, I pop on, I introduce, and then my team jumps in and does the rest. Early on, to get to that level was really building first a reputation, right, of success, and then knowing your skills and your experience and being able to wrap it around any brand really fast. For example, there's a brand called Aroma 360. They do the aroma scenting of hotels, casinos, homes, and all that. So I did a 3 months with them. They paid me large sums of money to come in there, and they have a huge marketing team. I want to say about 50 or more executives, and I came in as just a consultant, and I was able to show them how to implement a plan for them to obtain not only sales, boots on the ground, their B2B, their strategy, their digital component, their full ad campaigns. So learning all that and kind of the biggest example I can give is like a mechanic. We go to a mechanic oftentimes. We don't know what is under that hood. We know there's an engine. We know there's oil, but they see it and they know exactly what's under there. And they just move around like nothing. Like boom, 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 boom. And then they're like, hey, this is what's wrong with you. You know? So when it comes to marketing, branding, companies, brands, I'm really fast at it. And I'm able to see what their target market is, what they need to accomplish, what strategy they need, and how to execute it, and then how it's going to generate revenue or clientele, right? So because of the years I have in the industry and the different brands I worked working with large agencies, like when I was with BMG, we had our own agency. We had over 100 clients from different companies, different industries, different sectors. I was able to learn that quickness to be able to do that. So that expedited, fast forward, I'm able to do that for multiple companies simultaneously from a leadership or partnership or consulting level. Really easy. I come in, I already kind of like what I do, what's called the discovery. I know exactly what the company's trying to do. I know what their target audience. I know how to, generate their revenue. I know what strategy they need, and I know exactly how they can create that awareness for their brand. It's hard to explain in the sense of how quick I can do it because it's just experience, right? So, but it takes all those years of learning and studying and, reading, constantly looking at new trends, seeing what's out there, seeing what works, what doesn't work, you know. But it gave me the freedom now where I can do what I do now, where I'm free to be able to do this call with you. At the same time, earlier I was doing a large, you know, buyout of a company. Earlier before that, I was with some friends doing the gym in the park and we're relaxing. Earlier that morning, I was doing my alone time, my where I kind of get my day going. I have the freedom now, but it took years to get there. Now it could be quicker for someone because whatever took me 26 years, if you learn from me, you could do it quicker, right? Because you're taking all that I took me 26 years to learn from just learning it from me, learning from me, whether it's reading my book or having these type of conversations where you learn. And you'll see that. You'll see Tom Brady. You'll see different, Jimmy Johnson, Bill Belichick. You see these genius that are genius in different, in this case, sports. They go and they pick somebody's brain. Why? Because they're going to learn something quicker, a different angle, a different way, a different style, a reason why, you know, a strategy, because they were able to do something at a higher level. Now you're getting to a higher level. You just want to keep growing, and so that learner component, be a student, has to always be there in us to grow and to be successful. But that's what got me to where I'm at, where I have the freedom to do it, and I could be in multiple meetings. My phone also I have 30, 40 WhatsApp chats, all different businesses, and I could just write in there exactly what I need. This morning I had a large food festival that I'm launching. I basically wrote, this is what we need. We need a person to do this, 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 and this. Boom. And then now someone on that team, and from my team that's on that chat was going to go run with it. But to get to that level, it took years of success, and learning and humbleness and growing and so forth. But that's where you want to be. You want to be free to do all that you were born to be, all that you were created to be, and all that you're purpose driven to be, right? So if you're a business person, if you're a serial entrepreneur, if you're someone passionate about something, you want to get to the point where you're leading, but you're free, yet everything around you executes at a high level as if you were hands on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as people, continue to progress in their career and they do get to that point, when they're earlier on, sometimes you can look at the guys way ahead of you, your mentors, and people can feel overwhelmed. Or it's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get there? This looks so far away. What do you typically tell those folks as they're starting out? Is it focus on
So
one thing, get insanely good at it, and just watch it compound? Or what's your typical advice?
what you said it best, you be good at one thing, get that going, and become really good and become an expert at it. Then you can jump into something else because now you can handle that. It's like juggling. You got to be good at one before you can do two or three or four. So you said it best. You got to become it. You have to have the patience, but the most important part is the mindset. Your battlefield's in your mind every day. So one of my books that I authored and published is called "Don't Miss Your Moment in Time," and so I give 7 keys on how to execute those 7 keys. One of them is the mind, your thoughts, your thought. So you have to learn to program yourself. So my son's 34. He's a doctor and he has his own uh, uh, business and so forth. My daughter's 27. She has her own business as well. The reason why they have that at a high rate and a good success rate is because when they were younger, I was programming them, I was training them, I was teaching them how to think. I said, okay, you're going to go to school, study all this. That's great. Do that because there you can learn a lot and you can connect a lot and make a lot of relationships. But when you're done with that, learn the business of it because you don't want to be working for somebody. You want to be working for yourself, accomplishing your goals, your dreams, your passion. your success on a business financial level, for whatever it is, or career, whether it's creative, artistic, music, acting, whatever the case may be. Learn the business aspect of it because you want to have your own business. You want to have your own brand. And if you look at some of the most successful people, and that's another thing you could do to learn from, is read their biography, see how they got there, learn all those things, whether it's Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, Al Pacino, Brad Pitt, whoever it is, Justin Bieber. Learn. Learn what they did to get there, and then what are they doing with? Oh, they have their own production company, they have their own this company, they have their own that company. That's how you capitalize the most amount of streams for everything you're trying to accomplish, for whatever industry you're in, whatever you're trying to do. And the best thing I can tell you is that, be a learner, master your mind, control your mind, because you're going to have a lot of defeat. But failure is part of the. If you don't have failure, you're never going to win. In fact, you have to have failure in order to win. So if you embrace failure, it's all in how you see it, how you think about it, right? Expectations, right? Offenses, things like that. Those are all necessary things. Where are you putting your expectations? Is it on man? Is it on failure? Is it on, on a negative thing? No, is it on a positive? So all that part of the mindset is what will build you up to have success and have the patience, the passions, the perseverance to do and accomplish those things at a young age, because you're going to have obstacles. So if you program yourself to say, this is supposed to happen, I'm supposed to fail, I'm supposed to have it, what can I learn from it? That's where the key is to success, And so your mindset is important to it. Being a student is important. And then, never giving up, like saying everything, every obstacle, every mishap, every failure is part of the process. Michael Jordan, he has that famous quote where he missed, 10,000 shots before he made the one shot, So, and there's a number of those. Elon Musk, if you study somebody's biography, you're going to see how they failed miserably on 100 different things. Likewise, Bill Belichick, go down the list. Likewise, Tom Brady. You find whatever that icon is that you admire their success or their talent or their, the level of success they've had. We'll go research how they got there. So that's the best teaching you could ever learn in anything in life, and especially in business or to have success, is what's the mindset I need to get, right? And that from there on, it's easy, in that regard. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. And look, I already know all the people I'm going to send this to. I feel like I could run through a brick wall right now. So, Angelo, man, we appreciate your
I love that.
time. And where can people find you? Where can they see, what you're up to and what you're working on?
Right now, one of my focus is I'm rolling out some capital for a lot of different businesses here in South Florida. Some of the high rises, some of the hospitality resorts and hotels you see, or you will see, and some different things in commodities with oil and gas and so forth. But I have a whole team dedicated to that. I just basically source all the relationships and put them all together. So I got the freedom. Besides that, one of the things I'm really passionate about, I just launched a podcast yesterday. I had a previous podcast called Miami
Nice.
Made Show that's on hold because of a potential deal we have on the table for it to go a little bit bigger, not on a Joe Rogan's level, but on a higher level of reach with audience. So we're waiting on that. That one's called Miami Made Show, but it's on YouTube. You can see some of the beginning episodes. They're still up there with a lot of the key players from Miami, and it's called Miami Made Show. But we launched one yesterday, and it's a faith-based one. It's really good. It's very powerful. Uh, there's a lot of movement today in today's world, especially with young people, looking at their faith, looking at leaders, and people to inspire them, people to give them a foundation of what to believe in because of how crazy the world is, right? And there's a group of girls called Girls Gone Bible that are really powerful. They're on Instagram. Um, you know, every single podcast speaker has had something of faith in there. Joe Rogan, Myers, all these guys have had somebody, even Russell Brand, the actor, uh, you know, everybody's tapping into that topic. So we launched one yesterday, and I'll share a little bit more, a little bit ahead, but they can find it on my profile, on all my info, and they can search online as well. But it'll be popping up soon once the content is finished, recorded, and so forth. So that was something I did. And then the other thing is my Miami docuseries called Nightlife Empire, all the untold stories of Miami, how Miami became the nightlife capital of the world. So that one's in one of the ending portions of the production. On the editing side, it still has it has over 200 interviews, and it's all the key players from all the decades. It talks about how Miami became the Miami it is today, with a perspective of all the different hoteliers, people in film, fashion, music, celebrities, you know, all the different key players in nightlife, restaurants, festivals, underground music, sports, politics, you know, cultures like Cubans coming to Miami. And it starts when Miami was incorporated in 1896. It became a city. And so I have, you know, interviews with Meyer Lansky's grandson, Al Capone's granddaughter, the Bee Gees, Casey and the Sunshine, a lot of celebrities, and a lot of the key players you know and people know from here in Miami that are known names, whether they're in hospitality or other industries. There's a lot of what we call local celebrities in Miami or local personalities that are well known entrepreneurs that do very well, very successful in that industry. And you know, so Miami is, you know, it's a city where everybody wants to come here, everybody wants to be here. F1, Art Basel, Messi, you know, FIFA was just here, World Cup, you know, Polo, Swim Week, Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. You know, there's a number of festivals, ultra music festivals, concerts, you know, everything you can think of is in Miami. The world wants to be here. The world wants to come here. Everybody's watching. Everybody wants to, you know, we live where people vacation. And if you look, we're ranked number one or top three or top five on almost everything you can think of. The beach is ranked number one most Instagrammable beach in the world. I mean, you just go down the list. We're there. We're it. You know, and I'm born and raised here. So we tend to pride ourselves in our city. We love our city and we want to help welcome everybody. That's the real Miami, born and raised. A lot of people get caught up with the transient people you meet in Miami, whether it's downtown or South Beach, but those are tourism or those are transient, those are people that just moved here. But if you're born and raised here, you know the culture. We're all very hospitable. We're all welcoming. We all just want to everybody eat, everybody work, everybody hustle, everybody do their thing, and we cheer, celebrate everybody on. So yeah, so this documentary shares a lot about that, of how Miami became the Miami it is today, all the untold stories by all the key players. And so that's something I'm working on really hard right now. And I think I shared with you a little bit earlier. I have a food festival popping up. It's going to be a unique experience with some of the top chefs and some of the top people in Miami are involved. That'll be for next year, 2027. So some of the fun things I'm doing, besides the capital, besides the consulting or the marketing, branding things that I do, but those are things I'm passionate about. And like I said, the podcast we launched yesterday, faith based, you know, it's three guys, and we're just gonna really empower men and young men and everyone to really find their foundation, find their belief, find their faith, and really take on life and the world by the horns, and you know, not be defeated by it or you know, or find it as an obstacle, or find it as something where they can't accomplish what they want to do in life because of the chaos they see in the world, right? So it's a little bit of a motivational point for us and something to give back and kind of inspire those young men that are out there. I've always had a passion to help. You know, I have an older brother and five older sisters, but I guess I was really close to my dad, and so I have a passion to kind of redeposit myself, all that I learned, in others, and I've done that very often with a lot of young entrepreneurs. I like to teach them. So that's something else that's kind of been lingering. I've done it every once in a while. I'll do these sessions where I teach privately, and I think I might do it a little bit more larger because of the amount of reach that I get and the questions I get asked and the amount of young entrepreneurs that you know come to me, and I'm able to open doors for them. I mean, I get every day I get 3, 4, 5 people. Just now I had a lady write me. She says, "Hey, my husband does this and this and that. We're in California. We'll be in Miami soon. Can you help my husband with his business?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we could do this, 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 and this." You know, so I do it so often. I thought, why not turn it into something where we can do it on a massive level? So that's something that's on the pipeline there as well. So, and things like this,
Amazing, man.
be with you on this podcast and share what we can share to build you up and your audience and everyone out there. We'll stay connected always. So share.
Yeah.
Sharing is
Yeah,
the
man.
best thing you can
And
do.
yeah, and I'm flying back to Miami in a few hours, and I couldn't be more excited after hearing all
Yeah.
this. So,
Did you? I don't know. What part of Alabama you at? I was in Decatur one time, and I'll never
mm,
forget. It's like there's nothing there really, and our
yeah,
hotel had our hotel had a pool billiards bar there. It was cool because when I went outside, I saw a picture of Scarface on the window, which I
yeah,
thought was funny, being so Miami. But then we went to Bob's barbecue. It's got
hmm
100 trophies in the front entrance. Like, I'll never forget, my baked
yeah,
potato was like the size of I don't know, like a computer. It was huge.
Oh
Do you know
yeah,
which one I'm
man.
talking about?
I
It's
do. I do,
okay.
man. We got some good
Yeah, I don't know.
barbecue.
Yeah, is it Bob Gibson's or something like that? Maybe
I just
I
know
forget
it
the
as
last name,
Bob's.
but
Yeah.
it's one of the best. It came out on the Anthony Bourdain show. I forget the name of
Mm.
the what was this show called? Jeez, I forget the show. What it's called.
Yeah, me
Well,
too.
you know what I'm talking about, Anthony Bourdain, where he travels around
Yeah.
the world, and he passed away, but he had a great show about
Hmm.
food and restaurants, and that's one of the places he stopped at, in the middle of nowhere in Alabama, Decatur, Alabama.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man, we got some good food. But
yeah,
yeah, we're down here on the Gulf Coast. So we live like at the very, very bottom. So which
Mhm.
is why I was like, I gotta get back to some ocean. Get back to the open water. So
Well,
moved to Miami.
that's my
But
thing, man. I live in Marco Island, and it's on the Gulf side of Florida. But I'm always in Doral or on the east side here because of business in South Florida
yeah.
when I'm not traveling. But when I go to Marco Island, Naples, that whole area, I just detach and I'm on the beach. Like you won't find me. I'll just walk up and down the beach. And you know what? Back
Yeah.
to what we were talking about relationships. I've met 100 people down that path that later on turned out to be something in life for business. So think about it. Even walking down the beach, you can build relationships. So I tied
Yeah.
that into what we're talking about there. So it's pretty interesting how you can do that. At the
100%.
same time, I'm relaxing and I just love it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Best of
Decatur,
both
Alabama.
worlds.
My buddy coached there with he's the head coach now of UM, my buddy Mario Cristobal, and he coached there with Nick
Nice.
Saban, so with Roll Tide. Yeah, he was the
Oh
offensive line
yeah,
coach, I
man.
believe. Mario Cristobal, he's a
Yeah.
good friend of mine.
He yeah. So I ran track at Alabama and Saban actually came and spoke to us before we won our first championship. So
That's
it was
powerful.
like this crazy full circle thing, but he knew
Yeah.
how to get everybody
There's a
in
young guy
line.
that does an imitation of him. It's on
Yeah.
social media. It was really good. Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. Awesome, Angelo. Well, everybody, thank you so much for checking in. I think we got a just massive list of lessons from Angelo. So, man, appreciate you taking the time and
Likewise.
look forward to staying connected.
Yeah, anything I can do for you, let me know. If you, I can have a lot of my friends come on the show as well. I'll be glad to do that as well. And let's stay connected, you and I, and keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great, man.
All right.